Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honour to be here this morning. I'm very proud of MMC-Gamuda and our entire team for winning the BIM Level 2 Excellence Award, and I would like to share with you some of the stories. A couple of weeks ago, it dawned on me that I do these presentations so frequently, and I always emphasise the technology, the processes, the construction, but actually we should be talking about the people and the characters. So today I'm going to tell you the story of the people behind the MMC-Gamuda success. And each of these characters have a key role. Sati, in the top left-hand corner, has had to leave, but he received the award on our behalf. And before I really get started, I would like to say a huge congratulations to Post-Inchok, Yap and the team on their winning, or their accreditation with Lloyd's. Superb, superb. And I will tell you that I got a WhatsApp of that photograph over my Christmas vacation from my boss, and you guys have created a snowstorm. We now have to get level 2 BIM certification for Gamuda, which is what we're actually doing at the moment. So it is a great catalyst to move us all forward. So, two key characters, and Post-Inchok mentioned the importance of management support and C-suite level support, and these two characters have not faltered. Sati as a project director, Leo Hincock as the executive director, they have been hugely supportive. They have been dogged in their approach, and they are very committed to making BIM successful on the Line 2 project. And you can see that from the accolades. So again, just to echo the detail that's already been provided by Post-Inchok, for the underground section, which goes from Jalan Ipoh through the city, connecting with the hospital, KLCC, Tunrazik Exchange, down through Bandar Malaysia, and out to Desa Water Park, that entire alignment, 13.5 kilometres of underground tunnels, 10 stations, 10 ancillary structures, and all of the other pieces of work were all designed in BIM. So we're designed in Revit, drafted in Revit, and modelled. I'm going to show you some examples, and this is one of our stations. This is Chan Sao Lin. This is the station box where the first TBM tunnels have been completed. We have successfully completed both drives, and this is a model from that station. And this is the outcome. Now, I love this presentation. This is fantastic. You guys look at this going, wow, it's so complicated. You would not believe how much heartache, how much hours of blood, sweat and tears, and how many arguments went into producing these models. You can see a structural model, you can see a building services model, you can see architectural models. The biggest challenge is managing to deliver these models in an environment where no one's done this before. So kudos to AECOM, kudos to SAA, kudos to all the consultants who stepped up and didn't give in and kept pushing and pushing to get us this level of coordination. It is an incredible amount of work, and it's never seen. Nobody ever stands up and says how many thousands of hours go into these models. So it's very important to recognize that there's a huge amount of effort goes to get us this level of coordination. This is the Chan Sao Lin site a couple of months ago. How many people think this is an aerial photograph? Quick show of hands. Who thinks it's an aerial photograph? A few people. Most of you have seen my presentation before. Who thinks this is a 3D model? Wilson knows. This is actually a 3D model of the construction site taken by drones. And for us as a contractor, this is one of the biggest innovations on the project. So this is a Chan Sao Lin station. This is the architectural model. This is very similar to the model that Post-Inchok shared with you for Titiwangsa. This is a structural model. So each of these models was built by an individual consultant. Some of them were based in the project office, some of them were based in their home countries. So this was actually structurally modelled in Taipei. This MEP model was built between the Hong Kong office and the KL office. And you can see the complexity of these systems. You can see the density of the services. And this is the OWC model. And again, big congratulations to the OWC contractors who've stepped up and delivered these models. And this is what it looks like on Line 2 arriving in Chan Sao Lin Station. We have the hangars modelled, we have the platform screen doors modelled, we have the vents modelled, we have the signage modelled. Everything that we have to build has been modelled and to a greater extent coordinated. And as I mentioned, it's not just stations, we've done all of these ancillary structures. This primarily was used to get all of the OWCs to understand what they had to contribute in order to actually complete the tunnel coordination. So the next two characters are Nick and Rahimi. Nick has been one of the biggest advocates for BIM on the project. You can see him with a big smile on his face 18 months ago in Singapore. And himself and Rahimi have been instrumental in coordinating the models. So this is one of our reviews. Again, one of the big challenges, as a contractor working with and collaborating with consultants in a design and build, we've taken a very proactive approach with these VDRs. So we're using the model, we're using processes to manage the coordination. So we have a workflow laid out. This is a 7-step dance that we go through to create a VDR. I'm not going to get into the detail, but essentially this is a repetitive cycle every 2 weeks. So we have the consultants producing models, we have them shared on the CDE, we run a coordination workshop, we share the outcome of those workshops, and then we repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. It's an ongoing, endless process. The key point in running these VDRs, and Posting Chuck has already mentioned it, is you have to make somebody responsible for identifying and fixing the problem. It's very easy to see a problem in a model. Anybody who's looked at a 3D model will tell you they can find problems. Getting the architects, the engineers, even the coordinators to resolve those problems is crucial. So the system that we set up between the consultants, ourselves, the contractor, and the MRT was to use the common data environment as the go-to place to understand what the issues were. And this is an example. This was a system that we commissioned at MMC-Gamuda. It's called BIM Collab. It's a web-based collaboration platform. And the key point here are those bars at the top. They're individual people. And people would start to sweat when their names started coming up on a regular basis. This was a dashboard that we used to report to our management what was happening on a station-by-station basis. And in some cases, some of these individuals would end up in the hot seat if their name kept coming up on these reports. So it's a very good way to manage the coordination and resolution. So a top tip, if you're going to run a BIM process, you have to project manage it. You have to identify the issue, you have to allocate the issue to a party to resolve, you have to give them a time frame to do it, and you have to follow up to get completion. And this is one of my favorite graphs. I'm an engineer, so I have to put graphs in my presentation. Bottom axis is time, vertical axis is the number of problems, and each line represents a station. So as the stations are progressing, they should all be going from high on the left to low on the right. And those of you who are observing will see there's 2 stations that appear to have a chronic heart attack in the last month of this graph. And this is an example of where we go from design detailing to construction detailing. So the video I just showed you for Chancel Inn shows all the hangars, shows all the supports. What we discovered was when we modeled in all of the construction systems, all the necessary hangars, all the secondary steelwork, we created a large number of issues that had to be further resolved. So we had more coordination to do beyond the design coordination. And we've managed to resolve all those issues, and we're continuing with the construction. Now, Post and Chuck gave you a glimpse of this earlier. This is one of the things that I call this the theory of unintended consequences. We have spent a lot of time and effort training people to use the models, and we've got a lot of very clever, innovative people in our team. And the team that's working with Nick and Rahimi have come up with this idea that we can plan out all of the MEP works in terms of the installation, the testing, and everything else. And what that looks like, these are 3 views from the platform of the Kampong Baru station, and you can see the list of activities. Now, as the management contractor, the planning is vital. Understanding what we have to do is vital. But on this particular station, we're going to take this one step further. We're going to use the digital forms on the construction sites, and we're going to evaluate the actual performance of our teams in the installation against this plan. So we have a plan. We know when certain things should happen. We know when it should happen in certain rooms. We need to make sure that the activities are done systematically. But we're going to use digital forms on site to track that plan. So we will be able to see on a real-time basis, are we on schedule? Are we behind schedule? Have we got a particular system that's causing an issue? Etc., etc. So the planning is just the first part. The most important part is how we do this on site. This is another example of a 4D model. This is probably the same video Post and Chuck showed you. But essentially, we're using the 4D sequence to plan out our works. And then we're using that to report progress. Now, people have been talking about the importance of asset management. BIM Level 2 fundamentally is not about models. It's about collecting the information to manage the asset going forward. And you cannot collect information if it's unstructured and basically out of control. So the one thing we've done, working very closely with the MRT, is to work on and develop this KVMRT classification. And what that looks like in practice is everything has to start from a location. So we start by identifying all the spaces and rooms, and all of those individual spaces are then identified with unique names, unique codes. And then all the assets that go into those rooms are then coded in a very particular way to a very high standard of information. And I will tell you, this is the hardest part to do. The quality in terms of the information input is absolutely critical. If there's a digit wrong, the system won't find it. If there's a letter wrong, the system won't find it. So the rigor required to make these systems work is very, very important. So this is what it looks like. You have all of the different systems categorized. And the reason we're doing this is that when we go from the construction phase, which is where we capture most of this data, when we bring it into the actual asset management system, we can then find the components and link back to the information. So the asset classification, the asset naming is absolutely critical to make sure that we can link the model, the site, and the CMMS. And this is not to be underestimated. Anybody who takes this lightly is in for a shock. And again, this is another slide that Post and Chuck has stolen from me. This is a 5D demonstration, but what I want to tell you about 5D is people think about 5D as doing quantity takeoff. We think of 5D as something far more fundamental. We think of it as a mechanism where we can monitor progress and monitor our payments. So we can actually use the 5D to look at what work's been complete, what work we can claim for, and what work we can pay our trades and contractors for. So we're actually focusing more on progress claims and progress payments, not just on quantity takeoff. So this is an example from a platform that we're using. So the model has been brought into this platform. The software will go through the model, it will identify walls, columns, slabs, and then it will categorize all those objects. So if our classification is right and our model is of a good quality, we can do the actual quantification. So this will actually build up what you would consider a normal bill of quantities. So you can actually look at the bill of quantities by wall. It will tell you formwork areas, it will tell you reinforcement, it will tell you volume. And then we can use that as a mechanism for checking the volumes on the site. So the good thing with this is because we're doing BIM, we're able to leverage this technology as a contractor for cost management. This is our common data environment. This is the Bentley ProjectWise platform. This is actually hosted on a cloud server, and it is primarily hosted in Malaysia, and we've got interfaces to the architects in Singapore, the engineers in Taipei, in the Philippines, in Hong Kong, and a number of locations in India. This is a fundamental backbone to the success of this project. Without this common data environment, we would not have been as successful as we have. And in this particular project, the MRT were implementing the CDE, and we participated in setting it up. So all the information is hosted at the Southgate Central Office. The CDE is our single source of truth. It's our go-to in terms of information, and you can see the amount of information that we're storing on it. Now, what the CDE has been able to do is unlock the value of BIM with GIS and internet cloud access. And I'm going to share with you what's going on in that space. So the next two characters of my story are Mr. Pois, who's the head of surveying, and Tony Joseph. And Tony's actually here. Where's Tony? Give him a wave, Tony. Tony Joseph's here. Tony is our GIS expert and our digital data expert. You can see the guys on site. The character on the right is a gentleman called John Lim. He's one of our graduate trainees. He's actually come up with some software to develop a self-driving TBM, which is a whole different topic for conversation. So we have very young, very competent engineers, and they're all going digital on site. Mr. Pois has been hugely supportive of our drone team. And this is some drone footage. This is actually where's Aloysius? Aloysius is in the front row. This is some of Aloysius' handiwork. So this is a drone footage of one of our other projects. So the drones that started on the MRT project are now being used across our business. But I want to give you one key point. All of these technologies, whether it's virtual reality, whether it's augmented reality that Chris has got out in the front lobby, whether it's 3D printing, laser scanning, we start with a problem and then we look for a solution with technology. So when it comes to MRT, this is the laser scanning that was done. The laser scanning was done by Mr. Pois' team. It was about 15 or 16 scans put together. The model of the existing station was developed by the MMC-Gamuda and AECOM teams. And then the AECOM and SAA team have developed the connection, which is the large bridge, between the new structure and the existing facility. So the collaboration is very, very important, getting the contractors team to do the surveying and getting the design team to use and reference that survey information. So laser scanning is very useful for as-built information. The drones that we're using are Phantom 4 DJI drones. And we're not just doing videos and flying around because it's good fun. We're actually surveying the site. And again, we're using Bentley Context Capture. So we capture photographs, 70% overlapping photographs, and those photographs are then converted, give you a sense of scale, that's myself and Nick. So you can see the scale of each photograph. The drone is about 150 meters off the deck. So what we've done here is we've converted the images to a 3D model. So this is actually a 3D model of Titiwangsa, and you can see, again, how we use that to measure the site. What's more important is that this is actually very, very accurate, to within a couple of millimeters. So not only can we do this in terms of linking it and measuring it, we can measure soil volumes, we can measure distances. We've also been able to link our design model to our construction site. So we can actually take that same survey topographic model and we can overlay our construction model. So we can actually look at the progress of work in terms of the seek and pile wall locations, how they're tying in, and the video stopped. We did the same thing for the D-walls. So for us, the drones have given us a quicker way of surveying, which makes us more productive on site. And we now have the ability to go back and review construction sequences using the drone's 3D models. So because we're flying the site on a regularly frequent basis, we can go back and look at the construction sequence based on the drone footage. And again, each of these is a 3D model. It's not an image, it's a full 3D model. This is the GIS platform, this is online. This is a video taken from a browser, and what you're looking at is the Chansal Lin station. It's the 3D model, it's on the CDE, and it's been accessed via a browser. And we've also then incorporated the drone-created topographical model, and that model has also been loaded onto the CDE and has been made available through the browser. So you can actually, on a normal PC or an iPad, get online, and you can actually view these models over the internet. So you don't have to be using a very powerful BIM workstation, which is absolutely crucial that people can get access to the models. And with some very basic training, you can figure out how to overlay, again, the design model and the photogrammic model on the browser. Using Chrome, you can actually see the model and the site 3D model. We've got this set up for every one of our sites. Our project managers, our project directors have the logins, and they can go and look at any individual site themselves at any point in time. So we think that putting the information online is crucial. And one of the other things that we've done recently, and I'm not taking any credit for it, this is all Tony Joseph's handiwork. We've been able to manage to link data from the TBM drives, which is coming from a Maxwell Geosystems dataset, onto the same GIS platform. So using the same GIS interface, you can log onto the browser and you can tell where each of the TBMs is in real time. So we can actually go online, and we have, I think, is it 6 in the ground right now? 6 TBMs? We have 6 tunnel drives going on right now. We can tell by looking at the online browser exactly where they all are in terms of the actual real location. And this is really, really important for us, that we have real-time access to real information. So the last 2 characters of my story, John Lim, who I was wearing the VR goggles earlier, and David Kong, our QA/QC manager. And this is our digital team. This is our digital site team. All of these people have been trained to use the digital forms on site, and they're now training all of our staff. And what's interesting with this is, what started off as a BIM exercise on the underground, the digital forms was a byproduct, it was an unintended consequence. But what's even more impressive is that unintended consequence has spread beyond the MRT to all of Gamuda's construction businesses. So if you're working with Aloysius on a building unit, he's using digital forms on site. If you go to one of our housing projects, we're using the same digital form process. So the great thing with the MRT's approach to the digitalization of the industry is it's propagating way beyond the boundaries of the MRT. So these folk are doing this. So Post and Chuck's already mentioned, we have digitized hundreds of forms, and all of our different forms are all now digital. So when you go on one of our construction sites, if you're one of our engineers, you will have a smart device. It can be an Android, it can be an iPhone, predominantly Android, and you will be trained how to create, fill in, complete, and submit all these digital forms. And it has been massively beneficial from a productivity point of view. It has been hugely successful, where all of our trade contractors are now getting involved, and they're asking to participate. Now, we don't stop at one level of success. We now looking at how do we leverage the data that we're collecting from these digital forms. So we're now doing some very serious research and some very serious work on not only capturing these digital forms, but using it for reporting. And not using it in the sense of every 2 weeks we create a PDF, doing it in real time. So what I'm going to show you now is a demonstration, I guess the best description, of a dashboard of all of our forms. So the data you're looking at is actually online based on the CDE. I can click on a station and the dashboard will change. I can click on a type of form. So if I get to the next station, the operator will pick maybe on Q sheet. So what's happening is the actual information from site is instantaneous based on the forms, based on the data. So I can interrogate safety information, I can interrogate quality information, I can interrogate a site, I can interrogate a group of sites, I can drill down to a level of individual contractors. So we're now figuring out, and I'm saying that deliberately, we haven't got it all figured out, but we're working on a plan to use the digital site forms to change how we report and how we monitor our projects. And this is another important thing, training. And again, ourselves and the MRT have worked diligently and endlessly on training to try and bring up the skills and the knowledge and the information around the industry. We still don't train enough people. We still need to do more. But I'll leave you with this idea. Training is not about putting people in a room and talking at them for the morning. So we're looking at all kinds of training, peer-to-peer training, on-the-job training. And we've even gone so far as to develop an online e-learning platform. So we're now in Gamuda using e-learning to actually train our staff. So training is an ongoing thing and everybody needs to do more of it. The one thing I will do is I will urge you to take part. So we are doing our utmost to share and inspire the next generation and the current generation. So if you would like to know more about what we're doing, I would urge you to follow us on LinkedIn, and I would urge you to follow us on Facebook. So we have a Facebook page for the project, and we have a LinkedIn page for the group. And the reason I say that is that social media and our innovations have recently collided in a most unexpected way. This is the breakthrough of the first tunnel drive, and this is a video that was streamed live from one of the drones that we run on the survey team to our social media channel, and over 150 people, not all Gamudians, were watching the tunnel drive from the comfort of their office over the internet, in some cases on a phone. So we actually took the world of BIM to the world of drones, and now we're actually on social media sharing major civil engineering successes through the medium of social media. So if you want to see the next 50% of progress of the construction projects, please follow us on social media. So I hope this has given you some encouragement to the success of our project. And on behalf of MMC-Gamuda, we would like to congratulate our BIM innovators. Thank you all very much.